There are deep Christian themes in The Two Towers, just as in all of Middle-earth, but people deny this because Tolkien wasn't about allegory. However, Tolkien's faith seeps into the characters from the Two Towers movie. Join Matt Vandervoort and I as we discuss the subtle themes in this movie that you haven't picked up on before. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the third in a three-part series on the worldview surrounding characters in The Two Towers. This part is on Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, and our first part was on Gandalf and Aragorn. Our second was on Faramir. You can find those two in links at the end of this video. I hope you enjoy.
Transitioning from like Faramir and then to, Frodo and Sam and Gollum.
Yeah.
Um yeah. There is okay. So you just recently watched the Two Towers movie,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yep.
Do they get to Shelob in the Two Towers? Or is that the beginning of the Return of the King?
That's not until the Return of the King.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that Shelob is in the Two Towers
Right.
book.
You're right.
And so I will talk briefly about one of the differences that I really don't like in the movie, which is Frodo sending Sam away
Yeah.
briefly. Um, like I think in the movie they did it because like, oh, the ring is connecting him and Gollum, and he sees Gollum as more trustworthy and all that. Whereas like he always pities Gollum, like you have down there, like uh Gollum is always he is the one guy. He's basically the one person in Middle Earth, other than like Gandalf, who's not like, I want to get rid of this guy as soon as physically possible. With Gollum, because I think he sees himself in Gollum because he's a ring bearer as well. And so he's one of the few people in Middle Earth that can actually understand what Gollum went through. But um, I don't think he ever trusts Gollum to the extent that the movies portray him to do so. Like he trusts Gollum to be their guide, and he trusts Gollum to that, but he never trusts Gollum more than he trusts Sam.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like Frodo in the book is never seen as really, how do you say, he's not becoming like weak to the point where um I don't know, like he's the weakness that he's shown to have in the movies like isn't there in the books, if you know what I'm
There,
saying.
it
Like,
yes and no, because like he he gets physically weaker because he's like, because as he gets closer to the mountain, the ring becomes like physically heavier and like
yeah,
more and more of a burden.
right.
Um, but and he's like slowly like mentally breaking down a little bit, but not to the extent that it is in the movies, until he's right at the cracks of doom and is like, you know what, I want the ring. um and so uh because you also have to keep in mind, and it doesn't really pick up until uh Shelob, because he gets wounded by Shelob's venom, and it's kind of implied that Shelob's venom is like somewhat spiritual. Like it affects the soul, not just the body. Because like he, in the appendices and or in the end of the like in the conclusions of Lord of the Rings, he marks the anniversaries of getting stabbed on Weathertop and getting stung by Shelob. Um, and so those are the two wounds that basically never leave him. So, uh, he, but yeah, it's not until right at the end when he actually does that. And so I really don't like that, that part of that characterization of the movies where he sends Sam away. Um, because, like, honestly, this might get people mad at me, but like I almost find Frodo to be the least interesting member of the Fellowship because so much, first of all, so much of that part of the story is kind of told like from Sam's perspective because Frodo is so focused on carrying the ring and being the ring bearer and not giving into the ring that's like all he can focus on, whereas Sam is the one that's kind of out and about doing things. And then at the end, Sam is like the one who's like the one good guy kind of left. Not that Frodo turns bad or anything, but like, so Frodo doesn't have a ton of blatant characterization in that part of the story. And in the movie, so much of Frodo is just like, oh, I am sad like the elves are sad, and everything is gray. And like, I think that's, I don't know, I'm being a little glib about it, but like, I think it's a really good characterization of like basically like PTSD, where Frodo is out here just being like, I am suffering in a way that literally nobody else can understand except for Gollum, but Gollum gave into it and he wants it back. Whereas Sam is like, we gotta go do this and we gotta go save the world. And Frodo's just like, I barely remember the world because all I can think about is like carrying this ring. And like, it does get physically heavier because I think like his neck gets injured, basically, like has bruises from carrying the ring. And then there's Gollum, who is very like, I think Gollum's characterization in the Two Towers is fascinating because the whole time he's going between Stinker and Slinker, and he's like, I want to help Frodo because Frodo is nice to me, but I also want the ring. And so, and also I hate Sam because Sam hates me, and it's like fair. But and so there's this whole thing where like it's really interesting because as like Frodo and Gollum are almost like on opposite trajectories, where Frodo is slowly sort of succumbing to the ring, whereas Gollum is slowly sort of emerging from the dominance of the ring. And uh, like he still has this sense of like hobbity duty where like he honors the oaths that he swears up until the very end. And he, like, I think that's another thing that I don't like about the way they changed that scene is that they make Gollum worse. Like, like Gollum doesn't try, like he tries to convince Frodo that Sam's a jerk and a meanie, but like he never frames like he's kind of not that clever. Like, and so I think that the way that he again that like that scene I just particularly don't like because it's like I just don't think it's in character for any of those characters to do any of the things that they did, except for like Sam.
Well, it shows. So it kind of shows that also like so Gollum was really changed in the movie because of the Dunedain Rangers finding him, and then they kind of beat him up, and then he's like, I can't trust Master anymore, and I'm just a little fuzzy on how exactly that went down in the book. I don't feel like that there was really that much of anything that he really ran into to say like, oh, I really just
Well, they do catch him at one point. Like he
yeah,
does end up in the Dunedain place.
right.
Um and I think they do beat him. I think. And like there is a little bit of that in there where they're like, "Oh, like Frodo's like they won't hurt you," and then they're like, "We're totally gonna hurt him because he's creepy and weird." Um, and so And then Faramir basically tries to scare him into submission. But again, he almost can't break his oath because he swore it to the Precious, um, which is why he goes after Frodo at the end, because he realizes that Frodo's about to try to destroy the Precious, and like, I may have sworn an oath to the Precious, but the Precious is more important to me than Frodo. And so, um, yeah, and so like, he honestly, the person he's the biggest danger to at any given point on that journey is Sam, because he also I think technically he only swears that he will guide them to Mount Doom. He doesn't, like, once he's there, he's released from his oath. Um, and so, but again, and also, like, the ring had such an influence on him for so long that uh, the closer he gets to Mount Doom, the closer he's dominated by the real master of the ring, the real Lord of the Rings, which is Sauron, who also tortured him and also probably thinks he's a creepy, weird little guy. Um, like, again, if we're talking about people that are like unexpectedly spiritually kind of strong, like, Gollum didn't melt when he was interrogated by Sauron. That's impressive. Like,
Well, he
credit where
did.
credit is due.
He gave some information away.
Oh, he gave information away, yeah, but he like I think it's impressive that he's in the presence of Sauron, and Sauron is like bending his will towards him, and he, like, obviously he gives in because, like, the whole reason he's in Mordor is because he stops looking for the ring because Sauron basically sends out a subliminal message to all evil things in Middle Earth and is like, "Come to me now, it is time to take over the world." And so Gollum, having been affected by the ring for so long, feels compelled to go to Mordor, even though he doesn't know what Mordor is or where he's going. He just knows he has to go that direction. And then once he gets on the border, the orcs are like, "What is this thing? We should take this to Sauron."
That makes more sense now.
Yeah. So, but he does swear an oath to protect, because, like, I think he swears, because initially he's going to swear by the Master of the Ring, because he's implying Frodo is the Master of the Ring. But Frodo's like, "No, don't do that. You're swearing by Sauron." So he swears on the Precious to uh, to not harm Frodo. So that's why he saves him in the marshes. That's why he, like, hides him and gets food for him and does all these things, is because, like, I think it's a combination of he's honoring his oath, and, like, he does kind of want to change. I think there is that conflict of, like he's an addict basically, where, like, he wants to change and he wants to stop, like, desiring the ring, and he wants to kind of return back to his, like, hobbity goodness. Not that he's good. He did murder his cousin before he even had the ring. So, um, but he uh, ultimately he can't. But then he is sort of freed in the end. Like, it is, I think, and again, we're just talking about the Return of the King again, but I think it is kind of the instrument of, like, providence, if you will, in this story, that even, all things will work together for good. Even in Gollum's evil, it is that evilness and desire for something that brings about the salvation of the world, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, I do want to answer this question.
Oh, all right. Wait, one more thing on just one
Okay.
last thing on Smeagol
On
though
okay.
before we get to the last question, which I think is it'd be interesting to hear your take. But yeah, I think it's probably the closest thing to, like, really, like, with both Gollum and Frodo, right? It's kind of the closest thing you can take from, like, what Tolkien's saying about, like, temptation, right? And like you were saying about kind of like addicts do too, right? It's like this, like, okay, I know what's right and wrong, right? Because that's the other thing. Like Tolkien's world is a world of universal morality, so you don't have relative. The story doesn't talk about whatever's the right thing is whatever you want the right thing to be. It's like no, there is like
Yeah,
a right
yeah,
or
yeah.
wrong decision to make.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
think like yeah, I think that's true. But like it is a world in which, you know, Gollum is kind of that tension between um like good and evil in a person. I think that's why Gollum slash Smeagol is one of the most interesting characters and why so many people love him. It's because we get this conflict so spelled out in him of like I know what the right thing to do is. I know, at least I know kind of what the right thing to do is. And I like Frodo. Like, I think Gollum genuinely likes Frodo as a person because Frodo is pretty much the only living thing in 500 years who has not been like he does kind of trick him a couple of times but under duress, but like he's the one of the few creatures that has not stolen from him, who has not basically treated being around Gollum as completely unbearable at all times. Like Frodo is, he pities him, and so he's the one creature who's shown Gollum any kind of warmth. And so I think Gollum sees that and he's just like, I forgot how this feels, and now I do like Frodo, and I think that's why he has such conflict within himself, is because as much as he likes Frodo, he likes the ring more, even though he doesn't want to. And so, yeah, like I think that is very much Tolkien's like Christian perspective coming out of like we know when we sin that it's not good, but in the moment, as much as we want to be good, we want the sin more. So yeah, Gollum is Gollum is like one of the most interesting characters in the Two Towers and in the Lord of the Rings in general. And I think in the Two Towers, it's like you kind of think, oh, he's going to come out of this. He's going to pull through and be good guy Gollum, good guy Smeagol, and uh, he's going to actually help them. And then
yeah.
Shelob happens.
Oh yeah. So for that last question, for what is the most epic scene for you in the Two Towers?
100% Gandalf showing up at the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's just so cool because it's just, I just love that whole scene because so a couple of reasons. One is like it just fit the image in my head so well of like this hopeless battle, and then suddenly the dawn breaks and you see the glint of armor and it's like, oh, we're saved. But also like there's so many elements of it that are just so cool. The horn, like the blasting of the horn, and Aragorn and Theoden just being like,
Yes.
screw it. Like, F it, we ball. Like um, like they they just it's just so good. It's so like I'm kind of like I like the whole Helm's Deep sequence. Um but that scene where they're just like let's do this, and then cuz I mean like it's a foretaste of I think the most epic scene in the trilogy, which is the Ride of the Rohirrim, where uh everything like for a brief moment Sauron's forces are like, uh, what do we do? Because we have a bunch of people that don't care if they die and are coming to save their friends. Anyways, so yeah, no, the Battle of Helm's Deep, the scene where they're just like, because it's like the next morning and they're like, we're all gonna die. What if we just went out like the coolest people ever? And so, yeah, I will make a note. There is a difference in the movie and there's a few differences in the movie and in the books. In the movie, it is Amer's company of cavalry that come and charge down this hill and lift the siege of Helm's Deep. In the books, Amer has been at Helm's Deep the whole time. And it is, I think it's Erkenbrand is the name of the like random Rohirric lord that's just out and about, and Gandalf's like, yo, you need to get to Helm's Deep stat. And also it's infantry. Like everybody, there's this kind of a, because like everybody's like, Rohan, horses, obviously. Everybody's a centaur basically. But uh in the books, it's an infantry charge. He brings an army. It's not the riders of Rohirrim. It is like Erkenbrand and his soldiers, and they show up and lift the siege and then scare away all the orcs, who then go run into the angry forest that showed up out of nowhere. Um, and so I guess that happens in the movie too. Um, but again, it's like it's just so cool. It's just one of those moments that's just like, this is just so cool and fun to watch. And I'm very glad they did not take Tolkien's advice and leave out Helm's Deep from the movie. Because I think I've mentioned on here before that he once said that if they were gonna make a movie of the Lord of the Rings, you should just skip Helm's Deep. I'm like, no, you can't skip Helm's Deep. It's the coolest part.
For sure. See, so for me, like if I agree that like the scene with the horses running down the hill and all, and the light coming down is the most
Yeah,
epic. But like the Ents marching to
yeah.
Isengard is
I
really close.
I'm
It's
a
like
sucker for
it's really
for
close.
yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I coolest individual shot is just Aragorn when he like comes back into Helm's Deep. Just like the briefest moment of the coolest way to enter a room. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm a sucker for like soldiers and spears and horns, and it's just so good. I mean, I love the entirety of the Battle of Helm's Deep. I love um weird choice to bring the elves in, but like cool, I guess. Uh but I genuinely love the like the quote, just the quote of they're all ready to fire, which, first of all, that's not how archers did things. They did not draw back and hold it. That's like 45, 50, 70 pounds, 90 pounds of weight that you're just like, eh. So that, honestly, the fact that the old guy held it that long is like super impressive. But, um, just the arrow, the thunk, the charge, and Theoden just going, so it begins. It is that like every year around New Year's you'll see the memes of like, if you start the two towers at this exact moment, Theoden will say so it begins right at midnight. um
Yes.
but like,
Uh,
yeah, like it's just so, the whole Battle of Helm's Deep is so cool. And like the the orcs blowing up the wall, and everybody beforehand just being like, we're gonna die, but I guess we're doing this. And then the actual charge where they're just like, all right, let's go out of here. It's all so cool. I love that scene so much. Did you do you've done the you've done an episode on the Fellowship movie, right?
yeah, because we did it together.
Oh yeah, we did. Did
Yeah,
we do most epic scene in the movie?
we did not do most of we seen in the movie.
All right. I mean, probably Balrog. Even though I don't like how they portray Balrogs, but
No, the
probably.
most epic scene for me, I have to say is Aragorn going up against the orcs.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my runner-up because, again, Aragorn. I mean, honestly, like Aragorn going up against the orcs, you shall not pass is so good. But Aragorn going up against the orcs is cool. I honestly like Boromir's death uh scene because, one, it's like I'm a sucker for a good death redemption by death story, and so like Boromir being like, "Oh no, I've screwed up, and now I'm gonna go out in the most baller way possible by taking like multiple shots." And then, again, I've talked a lot about things that they changed in the movie that I don't like. My brother, my captain, my king. Oh my gosh, that scene is so good. It's like
Yes, it
it's
is. Hey,
it's just
dude,
like
you know, I will not let the White City fall.
yeah, yeah,
Just a
just
punch
like
for the podcast name. Just want to put it out there.
yeah, no,
Uh,
that scene where Aragorn comes in like a badass and
yeah.
just like I'm gonna also Viggo Mortensen deflecting a knife throw
Yes.
just casually. Like, I mean, okay, I'm assuming if you're watching or listening to this podcast, you know this already because of course you do. But like he throws the orc through the knife and he threw it at Viggo Mortensen by accident. And Viggo just casually just it's so cool. Oh man, yeah, that seems pretty good. But I mean, I like the fighting of the Balrog just because I'm a sucker for any time the first age gets a mention, and Balrogs are cool. Although, again, I don't think that's what Balrogs look like, in my personal opinion. But uh, it's still really cool because
Hmm.
it is a big fiery monster thing. And
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. So that I mean that about sums it for those themes. And if you don't think those themes are Christian or aren't important to the story, then put it in the comments. And if you do, still put it in the comments.
because I
Um,
remember every good Christian knows how to deflect a knife with a sword.
well,
No, no, yeah,
hopefully. That's a different kind of sword, huh? Um,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, well, thanks Matt for
Yeah.
talking. It's always great to have you on. So
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I appreciate your insights.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, and catch us for our next episode next week.
See you guys.
Thanks for watching. Check out our other two videos in this series on your screen.